That's right. I am back. Kinda. Your boy, Juan Gamer 54. Yeah, I'm still sick. I'm still sick, but I didn't feel right, letting you guys go a full week without no video. And I feel a little bit better than I was last week. So I figured, why not? We are going to be doing a reaction to the Alex Bale updated robot invasion theory. We already did the first one, so now we're going to do with the other one as well as the mini theory. So without further ado, let's just get started because this is going to be a long video, and it has to be to make up for lost times.
Alright, so I admit it, some of my theories have been a little crazy lately. I mean, Goofy Goober, Alien Death Cult theory,
Done that.
Dead Mother theory.
Done that.
Try and slow down a bit on this one. There is a secret robot invasion happening at Bikini Bottom. Everywhere
We were going
crazy
with that intro.
Kidnapping and replacing people with robot cyborgs.
And that editing scared me.
To rise up and start the robot apocalypse. This is not a joke. I repeat, the robots are coming. The robots are coming.
This is the robot invasion theory.
Again, I will state that the original video has been uploaded, and you will check it out soon.
One of my favorite episodes of
I'll leave a
SpongeBob
link in the
is
description box below.
Episode Crabborg. SpongeBob watches a scary robot movie.
To this day, it's my favorite episode, to be honest.
And even kidnaps Mr. Krabs.
What color is my underwear?
You think I'm a robot?
We don't think, we know.
It's a really funny episode.
It is.
I can't help but wonder if SpongeBob's fears might be a bit more justified than we thought. In the episode SB129, we get our first glimpse of the future of Bikini Bottom, 2,000 years later.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Why is everything chrome?
Everything is chrome in the future.
I'm just wondering what new stuff we're gonna figure out because, like, new SpongeBob stuff and all that.
SpongeBob? No.
Did it pause?
And this isn't the only time we see a future.
Like it froze for a minute, like the audio cut out and then boom.
SpongeBob time travels to an alternate future where Man Ray takes over, and once again, people have been replaced by robots. And then, in the second SpongeBob movie, Sponge Out of Water, there's a deleted scene where SpongeBob and Plankton go to the future and see this.
We did it! I wonder.
Temporary voice actors.
We are. Excuse me, sir. Do you know what year this is? Cyborgs? We didn't go back in time. We went front in time.
There's also two new episodes,
Oh.
Welcome to Binary Bottom and PL1413, that show us the future taken over by robots. I'll talk about them a little more at the end of this theory.
Okay.
And there's even foreshadowing in episodes that take place in the present. In the Krusty Krab training video, we hear this.
Well, luckily for you, Mr. Krabs' fear of robot overlords keeps the balance of technology in check.
And in security guards, we can see an exhibit that clearly shows the evolution of SpongeBob eventually getting taken over by robots. Okay, so there seems to be a lot of evidence for the future of Bikini Bottom being taken over by robots.
Yeah.
But honestly, why does any of this matter? I mean, robots ruling the world is a pretty common depiction of the future in lots of different media.
Yeah.
And even if this is the canonical future of the show, it's at the very least thousands of years in the future. It's not like we can already see this robot invasion happening in present-day Bikini Bottom, right?
Well,
Here's an interesting question about SpongeBob that's always bothered me. Why are there so many robots in the show? And I'm not talking about Sandy or Plankton's inventions. It makes sense for them to have robots as they're both genius inventors. But why do hospitals,
especially since, they're from
office
underwater.
buildings, parks, and
Oh, wait.
juniors
Ah.
and many or Plankton's inventions, it makes sense for them to have robots as they're both genius inventors. But why do hospitals and office buildings and amusement parks...
There's a definitely be going on in Glove World than meets the eye. Season 12, Escape from the Beneath Glove World, has a lot of interesting details. Pay close attention when going down the elevator. I swear, if this is a FNAF one, if it's something FNAF, I'm gonna be sick to my stomach. I just can't seem to get away from FNAF even when I'm recovering.
Weenie Hut Juniors and many, many more places have such advanced robots. I mean, let's ignore the fact that they're underwater and robots wouldn't really make sense down here. Bikini Bottom isn't like a super advanced society, right? You wouldn't really say that they have much futuristic technology, except when it comes to robots.
Yeah.
Why? And what's even stranger is that there are many instances where these robots suddenly turn evil. The first time I really started to notice this was in the season 7 episode Tunnel of Glove. SpongeBob and Pearl get trapped in a Glove World boat ride that's full of animatronics. Patrick tries to set them free by breaking into the control room, but accidentally causes all the animatronics to suddenly turn evil and attack SpongeBob.
I also had a comment when I was doing the original video of it, and they said something around the lines that there is a FNAF inspired episode of FNAF. Of SpongeBob. Like, there is literally a SpongeBob FNAF theme episode. And I'm like, what? Is this true? Are they talking about the Tunnel of Doom? Because I feel like it is. Or it could be that SpongeBob episode where, like, Mr. Krabs brought animatronics to the Krusty Krabs.
Then the robot malfunctions and turns evil. This isn't really all that weird for SpongeBob. Except, what's strange about this is that Patrick doesn't break any controls. He hits a button labeled Animatronic Override, and that's what causes the robots to turn evil.
So it's in their programming, essentially. You didn't even put a casing on it or anything?
They aren't malfunctioning. The robots were intentionally designed to have a button that makes them attack people, but why? Then, in the episode Good Neighbors, Squidward discovers a flyer for a home security system that's suspiciously free, despite it clearly being very advanced. After he sets it up, his house suddenly grows arms and legs and starts destroying Bikini Bottom.
Poor Squidward. He keeps getting disrespected even by his own house.
Now, to be fair, this was a malfunction caused by SpongeBob, but why would a simple home security system have giant arms and legs? I mean, the malfunction didn't create them. They were clearly already installed. They eventually do manage to stop the house, but what's really creepy about this is that we can still see signs of Squidward's house being sentient after this episode. Then, in the season 11 episode Krusty Cleaners, SpongeBob and Patrick go to an office building and
I'm still on the lookout for these SpongeBob new episodes, because they're really interesting, man. Like, oh my god.
But this time, there's no malfunction that causes this. It's working exactly as intended. Not only does the trash robot have a buzzsaw and
it even has the scanner that's showing that it wants to saw my boy Patrick in half.
Robots to help hunt down SpongeBob and Patrick. So, where are all these places getting these super advanced robots? And more importantly, why are they all being programmed to suddenly turn evil? This is a question that stumped me for a while, until I watched the season 11 episode, My Leg.
My leg!
This is the episode where I truly realized there was an actual conspiracy theory here, and not just cartoon antics. It's time we finally find out who is behind the robot invasion.
I mean, let's be honest, some of us probably know who it is,
but
like...
The episode, My Leg, focuses on the reoccurring gag of this one fish always injuring his leg throughout the show.
Frank.
My leg! My leg!
Alright, new one. I think you can find an interesting story with Fred, the My Leg guy. Is he really the first person to yell my leg, or is he a fraud? Dang, why you gotta call my man a fraud? That's OD. Why would you say that to my boy Fred? He's becoming kind of Bikini Bottom celebrity, modern SpongeBob. Is he desperate for attention because his father never loved him? Season 13, Squidward's 6 Days. And is he finally getting sick of being known as the My Leg guy? Season 12, SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout. Dang. So his father never loved him? Dang. That's sad. Dang. This is interesting. It's interesting, but
At one point in the episode, he goes to a hospital and meets a robot that works there. It's just a small throwaway gag. The robot never turns evil or does anything strange.
Don't take my leg! Don't take my leg!
But there's something awfully familiar about
my
the
voice is
robot's
groggy.
design. Let's go all the way back to the season 3 episode Plankton's Army, which
Okay.
opens with Plankton trying to steal the Krabby Patty's secret formula with a robot disguise.
You never know what trick he'll use to steal me secret Krabby Patty formula.
What a quaint restaurant. I think I will sample their wares.
These robots have an uncanny similarity, right down to the same tie. Okay, but maybe we could just chalk this up to the showrunners being lazy and reusing assets. But
Really? With
has always
SpongeBob?
had a pretty diverse amount of robot designs throughout the show. And it's not like this is a direct copy-paste either. They went to the effort to redesign the face and colors, but it was still clearly based on Plankton's robot. So Here's my theory. Plankton has built many robots to try and steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, but I think after he fails to do so, he doesn't just throw them away. He redesigns the robots.
I mean, that's the only way he's keeping afloat. I mean, he's not really selling food.
With the intention to one day use them to take over the world once he has enough in place. I mean, we know what Plankton really wants isn't the secret formula, it's to rule the world.
My man's can't cook for nothing. He keeps burning the chicken. He keeps burning the kitchen.
Plankton tried to take over using an army of robots. Many people commented this, but this also could explain how Plankton stays in business despite never having any customers.
Yeah.
Probably sells them. Because how else is he funding himself? People don't eat at his fucking restaurant. Oh, that's okay.
I like that. That's a very cool point. Good job, guys.
Yeah, that is. It's the only logical thing. I mean, what? How else is he getting money? Like, I don't really see anyone sponsoring the Chum Bucket anytime soon. I mean, let's be honest. I don't think sponsor was ever there. But still, though, you understand. Like, ain't nobody looking at the Chum Bucket saying, "Yeah, we're not partnering with them," or "No, we're not supplying them with nothing."
So, this theory doesn't seem too far-fetched for Plankton's character, but we're gonna need a lot more evidence if we're gonna prove he's the one behind all the robots in Bikini Bottom. So, let's get started. In the Season 3 episode, No Weenies Allowed, we see a robot working at a place called Weenie Hut Juniors.
Would you care for another Diet Cola with a lemon twist?
Weenie.
And while it doesn't resemble any of the robots we've seen Plankton make, does that voice sound familiar to you?
Would you care for another Diet Cola with a lemon twist? What a quaint restaurant. I think I will sample their wares.
And again, it's not like this is the default robot voice we hear in SpongeBob. There are many different voices the show has used for robot characters.
I just want to ask this. You think so? Plankton, right? So we're just gonna canonically accept that the Bikini Bottom is getting like their robots from Plankton, right? At one point, it's like it's kind of pretty much obvious. Like, I don't think Plankton would try to attempt to keep the voice box in the same robots, right? Because, like, most of the time, most of its robots get just kaboom. They get explode like they're Krillin. Every single time. So it's like, at what point, why are the people of Bikini Bottom want the robots? How is Plankton selling these robots? You would think that people would say, "Hey, ain't that the guy who is selling the chum? Ain't he the owner of the Chum Bucket? Hey, ain't he the guy who was being rude and absolute to everyone? Why we want to give him money?" Or do you think Plankton was selling, his robots anonymously? Like, they just show up on shorts, or does he show them, does Plankton wear, some sort of disguise? He was, top hat, meeting in the alleyways or something? Or do you think Plankton just, goes out and just tell them, here's a free robot if you give me this much price? Like, how is Plankton selling this money? How is Plankton selling the robots? Or do you think it's Karen doing it?
A quaint restaurant.
Greetings, I am Robo 2.1.
No threat detected. This is very uncomfortable.
Yeah, the episode where Plankton was trying to date Eugene's mom. That is a crazy episode.
Let's go back to Glove World for a second. In the control room, we see a machine on the wall that looks shockingly like SpongeBob. So much so that Patrick even mistakes him for it.
Yep.
We know Plankton has built a SpongeBob robot before in Welcome to the Chum Bucket. Maybe he repurposed it here inside of Glove World. In Krusty Cleaners, the trash robot also has a striking resemblance to Plankton's robot in the Season 9 episode Eek and Urchin. In the Season 5 episode, The Patty Gadget, Squidward tries to get SpongeBob fired by replacing him with a machine that creates Krabby Patties for free. But it's
I think this was
explained
this
where
episode
Squidward
right
got this
here that
machine.
introduced me
Now,
to
it doesn't
Patchy, I
resemble
think.
anything we've seen Plankton make,
And I feel
but
like
a
Patchy's
staple
the
in a
next
lot of
theory,
Plankton's
so that's gonna be
inventions is
interesting
having
to
them
see.
resemble his likeness, especially with one eye in the middle, and that's exactly what we see with the Patty Gadget. And the patties it makes are terrible, which would make sense for something Plankton made. In the episode All That Glitters, SpongeBob buys a super advanced talking spatula.
Les Spatula 3000 at your service.
But in the episode Evil Spatula, we find out Plankton has a whole collection of advanced spatulas just like this one, and even tries to trick SpongeBob into taking a talking spatula. Also in House Sittin' for Sandy, we see Sandy has a warehouse full of robots that eventually go rogue and fully destroy her tree dome.
Ha!
Now, I I knew about this back when I was first making this theory, but I didn't mention it because it didn't seem like there was any way to connect it back to Plankton, since we know Sandy could have easily created these robots on her own. But in a new Season 14 episode, Hysterical History, we actually do see Plankton chasing Mr. Krabs with the same robot.
At least Bikini Bottom is normal now.
Hey, yo!
So maybe he actually was the one who gave Sandy the robots after all. She's not even surprised to see Plankton with the same robot.
Yep, totally normal.
It seems...
Then why would Sandy buy it, though? I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I don't really see Sandy have that much beef with Plankton, but, like, you would think that from all the... You would think SpongeBob would tell Sandy about... I feel like Sandy and SpongeBob are on that type of term where... That type of friendship where, you know, SpongeBob would go on and talk about the things that happened in Bikini Bottom during their karate session. So she should have at least some idea to know that Plankton has done numerous attempts of trying to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula. So, like, why would she take the robots from Plankton? I feel like this has to be something. I feel like it had to be Karen. It has to be, because I don't think no one has beef with Karen. So I feel like they wouldn't be, you know, too creeped out the fact that they're accepting, they're basically buying a robot from a robot. Because if they were going from Plankton, yeah, I don't think Plankton would have any, you know, wouldn't have any, like, success selling his inventions.
like no matter where we turn, we can find a connection between the technology in Bikini Bottom and Plankton. But if you remember in those glimpses of the future, the world isn't just ruled by robots. They've actually replaced all the existing citizens
Wait.
with robots. Between the technology in Bikini Bottom and Plankton. But if you remember in those glimpses of the future, the world isn't just ruled by robots. They've actually replaced...
I changed the text to Jared is watching. It's foreshadowed Jared character who would later show up in the Happy Meat Farm. ARG. Yeah. Dang, I didn't notice that.
Robot copies.
I am SpongeTron.
And believe it or not, this is also something we can already see happening in Bikini
This
Bottom.
part of the theory foreshadows the
Get ready to
ending.
see how
Okay.
far this robot invasion has really gone.
In the original video uploaded. Dang, I can't read fast.
Get ready to see how far this robot invasion has really gone.
I'm feeling a little bit better now, but, you know, I still need to take at least some few days off for this illness to go away. In the original theory upload in the film slice in between these parts, we cut from Victoria in this Trust No One to hint her manipulating Alex. Ah, dang. Poor Alex.
Now, we know Plankton has tried to turn people into robots before.
SpongeBob, come in here.
Or should I say...
Robot Bob.
But he gave up after SpongeBob was too annoying.
You've got to take that yellow nightmare back. It's not worth it.
But I don't think this was his only attempt. In the Season 11 episode, The Checkup, SpongeBob and Squidward are trying to give Mr. Krabs a health checkup by testing his pinching reflexes.
Okay, I brought plenty of things for Mr. Krabs to pinch. A pinch of salt.
Dang.
And one of the things they have him pinch is a baby.
A baby's cheek.
Ooh.
Lucky that was a robot baby.
Some random baby just turned out to be a robot, and it's never explained why.
And how
It's
does
weird
SpongeBob even
for
get
SpongeBob,
that?
But things get even more interesting when we go back to Season 9 in the episode Plankton's Pet, where Plankton tries to steal a Krabby Patty using the exact same purple baby as a robot disguise.
That diabolical fiend. I can't believe this is working.
And we're not even done yet. If we go even further back to the Season 5 episode, Goo Goo Gas, we can actually see the exact moment where Plankton gets the idea to turn the baby into a robot.
Why, you're so tiny and helpless. I could
God
take you
dang, why are you doing the baby that bad?
That's it. Finally, victory
Devious.
will be mine.
Now, in the episode, it's implied that this is just him getting the idea to turn everyone into babies to steal the formula, but isn't it crazy how it also perfectly lines up with the purple baby fish suddenly turning into a robot in future episodes?
Yeah.
Plankton took up taxidermy, bro. Stuffed a baby skin with robot parts, bro.
Now, there's another fish who's always been
Wait, did he actually turn that baby into a robot? I feel like the baby is still alright and has grown at this point. I'm pretty sure it's just, you know, fully robot-sized baby. Just baby robot that he made. Because if he actually did took that baby, oh no, Plankton, you might have to be, we might have to see you in court.
very suspicious to me. The strangely realistic news anchor fish.
My man did nothing wrong.
Bikini Bottom is abuzz over the identity of a mysterious flying man who helps people. Who knows what superhero act of courage he'll astound us with next?
In a show full of cartoon characters, why is he the only realistic one? In fact, I made a whole theory about how there are evolved cartoony fish that can talk, and primitive realistic fish who can't. But as many people have pointed out, the one exception to this is the realistic news anchor fish.
Yep.
Well, if you ask me, he looks a lot like one of those animatronic singing fish you buy in a gift shop. Especially the way he mechanically moves his mouth and how we only ever see one side of him. So, already a pretty strong
There it is
indication
again.
He might be a robot, but there's also something familiar about his voice.
What kind of cruel, careless, evil person? I'll canvas all the seediest
Plankton.
lowbrow dives in town.
It does sound like Plankton. I never caught that. Plankton controls the news? That's right. He has the same voice as
Oh,
Plankton.
no.
And if you're going to take over the world, then you're definitely going to want to control the media. But then how did he grow hair in the Mrs. Puff theory if he was actually a robot all along? Fucking, I don't know. Maybe robots can just grow their hair, okay? I don't know, man. You try making 8 SpongeBob theories and having them all connect perfectly, okay? But
Ain't nobody trying to do that. I mean, ain't nobody trying to do that. Like, if someone really does try to connect a theory try to connect a timeline with the Alex Bale theories, I'ma be amazed. I'll give you an applause, because like, first of all, the theories have been stemming by robot invasion, goofy goobers taking over the world. What else? Oh yeah, we used to have a war back in the day with the residents of Bikini Bottom, and that Mr. Krabs is basically killed Pearl's mom and selling her as Krabby Patties. Mrs. Puff is a psychopath, and that she's trying to off my boy Mr. Krabs. Someone save this man.
how exactly is Plankton replacing these people with robots? Well, I think the season 10 episode Whirly Brains gives us an important clue. In this episode, suddenly a new toy becomes extremely popular in Bikini Bottom, the Whirly Brain. Just flip your lid, attach the propeller, and watch your brain soar.
I'm still not sure about this episode.
Yeah, it's a weird episode. So, people are actually voluntarily attaching devices to their brains and ripping them out of their bodies, and no one thinks that this is suspicious? If you ask me, this seems like the perfect way to replace someone with a robot. Remember, in Welcome to the Chum Bucket, Plankton told us how he turns people into robots.
I'll be forced to remove your brain and implant it in my robot chef.
By removing their brains. But is there any proof that he's the one behind the Whirly Brain toys? Let's take a look at the new SpongeBob prequel, The Patrick Star Show.
Okay.
Every once in a while, the show cuts to this stop-motion parody of Frankenstein with Plankton, and he actually uses Whirly Brains to conduct his experiments.
All right.
It's not super clear how this all connects to the main show. I mean, we do see Patrick interact with the stop-motion Plankton at some point, so they're at least in the same universe, but regardless, it's still a solid connection. We see another head-based gadget in the season 11 episode Bottle Burglars, an invisible helmet being advertised in a magazine for only 99 cents.
Yeah.
In the same episode, we see Plankton using the exact same helmet.
Crabs will never see me coming in visuals.
I ain't gonna lie, my boy was very muscular. God damn, Plankton. That boy got abs.
Now, maybe this is just implying that
Hey man, stop playing with Stop playing with Plankton. You see in that second movie, SpongeBob, in that Sponge Out of Water movie, my boy Plankton was very buff. I know Karen was impressed.
He bought the helmet from the magazine, but that doesn't really line up with what we know about Plankton as an inventor. Plus, I can't see them selling a tiny version of the helmet just for Plankton. Seems a lot more likely that Plankton created the helmet and is selling them to the people of Bikini Bottom, possibly as a way to create more robots.
How hard does this nigga have to watch these shows to catch these? How hard? Like, I feel like he's watching this shit too hard.
Ha.
This man has like a magnifying glass.
This was pointed out to me, but there was this one time Gary's shell exploded and exposed a robotic.
Oh.
Gary?
Oh.
But since it was just a one-time gag and there's no other robot connections with Gary, I don't think there's enough to make a case for our robot Gary theory.
Bro, if Gary all along was truly the ops, then SpongeBob, I'm sorry, man. I keep telling you once and I keep telling you twice. And I'm gonna probably say it again with these mini-theories, because I know the mini-theory is coming up. But you need new friends, man. You need new friends. And if Gary turns out to be the ops, you're going to need a new pet too. Because this is sickening work. Because Patrick's a robot. Yes, Patrick's a robot, okay? It was from the original video. Mr. Krabs is probably not even the real Mr. Krabs. He's the fake one that you made. Not only that, but I'm pretty sure the old Mr. Krabs is also a killer who's selling his dead wife to the residents of Bikini Bottom. Mrs. Puff is a psycho. Squidward is probably... I don't know what's with Squidward, to be honest. Squidward is probably working with Goofy Goobers and is basically a cult icon. Sandy's a rat. Like, what?
Alright, so we're starting to get a pretty clear idea of how Plankton plans on turning the citizens of Bikini Bottom into robots. But there is one more character that I believe has already been secretly assimilated into a robot. And it's not some random background character either. It's one of the main characters in SpongeBob SquarePants. This final part of the robot invasion theory is going to completely change the way you look at the entire show. Are you ready? Because this is the Patrick Star theory.
Patrick?
I was also the same.
Now, I fully realize saying Patrick is a robot is a very bold claim.
Yes.
But hold your judgments till the end. By far, the most requested theory I get on this channel is to cover Patrick Star, and more specifically, his inconsistent intelligence. Throughout the entire show, there are these little moments where Patrick suddenly says something smart.
I'm a bit more complicated than that. The inner machinations of my mind are enigma.
And then immediately
I really
goes back
do
to
have a
being dumb.
Patrick Star voice, to be honest.
There's so many examples of this happening that many people have actually made their own theories about it. Is Patrick secretly a genius and just pretending to be dumb?
Wait. Look closely at the bottom YouTube title. They spell out a secret message from the Muse. What? Look closely at the bottom YouTube videos.
There's so many
Okay, let's see. Secret Genius, okay.
examples of this happening that many
Is Patrick Star from SpongeBob a psychopath? Okay.
people have actually made their own theories about.
In this episode, no, that's not. How Patrick will destroy everyone. Is Patrick a genius?
Is Patrick secretly a genius and just
The horror.
pretending to be dumb? Does he have a secret split personality? I
Oh, I saw Happy Meat Farm.
diagnosed Patrick Star with trauma-induced anxiety triggered spontaneously
Go check out the Theorize video. I got permission from him to include this insane clip.
duplicative multi-intellectual DID with additional paranoid schizophrenic delusions of a mental multiverse. Paranoid
What?
Whoa! What?
Maybe, but I've come to a bit of a different conclusion. Have you ever noticed how every time we see Patrick try to think, there's either sparks or smoke coming out of his head?
Yeah.
Is Patrick thinking again?
And
Yep.
almost every time we see inside of Patrick's head, it's represented with gears or some kind of machinery.
Yeah.
Now, we're
What have
supposed to
I
assume that
become?
this is just a cartoony way to visualize
Sorry.
thoughts,
I knew
but
what the
strange
next
is just
line
how
was. I'm sorry.
consistent they are with it. And even stranger, none of the other characters' thoughts are visualized this way.
Just got an order from the boss. Dump everything that isn't about fine dining. Squidward's happy gland is forced to take shelter in the recesses of his mind.
It's only Patrick who seems to have this robotic association with him. And
Yeah.
just look at how detailed they are with it. While Patrick's head is sparking in a rule of dumb,
Yeah, and
look
SpongeBob was
closely,
following
you
the
see a
spring.
pop out of him,
Boing.
and even a hole left behind by the spring. That is such a small detail that no one would notice unless you were going frame by frame. And if this is just supposed to be a metaphor inside of Patrick's head, how come SpongeBob clearly sees the spring come out? Alright, so now that I've done my imagination theory, some of this evidence doesn't hold up as much, but even looking back on it, it's still just strange how many robotic connections there are with specifically Patrick. I don't know, I still think it works. Okay, so let's...
True, and let's be honest, SpongeBob and Patrick just they go together like peanut butter and jelly at this point. Like they are locked in. So I wouldn't feel like it was out of reach that since SpongeBob is apparently able to create things out of his imagination, I wouldn't be surprised that he decided to, rub a little bit of his magic to Patrick. I mean, like, why not? I mean, Patrick might as well be his most faithful friend. I mean, and you can't see it, but I'm doing faithful with air quotes because there have been some times that Patrick be fake for real. But, that's just me.
entertain the idea for a moment that Patrick might be some sort of robot. How would he have gotten converted, and why does this cause him to randomly become smart every once in a while? Well, I looked at all the scenes where Patrick suddenly does something smart, and I noticed a bit of a pattern. There are two different types of these moments. There are times when we think he's saying something intelligent.
Wait, SpongeBob!
We're not cavemen! We have technology.
But then it's revealed he's not actually being smart.
I can't do a voice impersonation for long.
Patrick is someone who doesn't see himself as dumb, so there's lots of times he tries to be smart, but he fails.
Dumb people are always blissfully unaware of how dumb they really are.
But there are also moments where he actually does do something undeniably smart.
Wait a minute, Squidward. They might be onto something.
We could filter the CO2 through our
I'm not gonna lie, this caught me off guard when I was a kid. I was surprised like SpongeBob, like this. Wow.
He's right.
But then he immediately acts oblivious to the fact that he was being smart.
We're going through with your plan, Patrick. Yay!
What plan?
Oh?
So, I kept track of these two different types of moments, and it seems like after season 3 is when he suddenly switches from pretending to be smart to actually having these smart moments. And this switch perfectly lines up with the season 4 episode, Patrick's Smarty Pants. In this episode, Patrick falls off a cliff and gets his head knocked off. SpongeBob accidentally replaces his head with some brain coral, which makes him become a genius.
I find all this laughter to be highly illogical.
In the end, they switch back to his normal head, and Patrick goes back to his usual stupid self. But take a closer look at the scene when he first puts on the brain coral.
Here's your head.
Plugs in.
Now, many people have interpreted these gears with cobwebs as a metaphor for Patrick's brain never being used until now.
Yeah.
But these gears are not from Patrick's brain. His brain came off during the fall, which means these gears are entirely from the brain coral. And at the end of the episode, when they remove the brain coral, we can still see the electrical plug attached to it.
No imagination.
We are no longer seeing a metaphorical representation inside of someone's head. We are seeing this plug from an outside perspective.
Dang.
The brain coral is just like the Whirly Brains, a robotic device that plugs into your brain to control you. Isn't it convenient that Patrick just happened to land next to a pile of coral that looked identical to his head? Is it possible that Plankton saw this as an opportunity to add another victim to his...
Okay, this is obviously the weakest part of the theory. I just assumed Plankton was conveniently in the area where Patrick fell, was able to quickly set up the fake brain coral trap. Yeah, I was about to say, because I was now thinking about it, like, wait a minute. How would Plankton know? Like, is he spying on SpongeBob? I mean, let's be honest. If Plankton's trying to spy on SpongeBob, I can kind of see it. I mean, after all, SpongeBob is the one making the Krabby Patties. So, I mean, like, if you want to know how to make Krabby Patties, you gotta follow the chef. Because, like I said, there was one episode where SpongeBob was trying to do his darn hardest to get Patrick to give him this special card that had like, you know, that had like this animated version, like where Mermaid Man saying, "Buy more cards." Well, my boy Barnacle Boy gets sucker punched. And he was doing everything in the books. And I mean everything. Heck, even trying to make Patrick a Krabby Patty. Of course, after paying off Mr. Krabs, of course. So, like, I can kind of see it. That Plankton would want to spy. But, like, to know exactly and to make this? I don't know, Chief. But there is evidence that Plankton was nearby. In the very next scene, after the jellyfish fields, we see Patrick studying Plankton in the microscope back in Patrick's. This supports the idea that Plankton was nearby enough to Patrick to find him. This also implies that even with the smart brain coral, Plankton was unable to successfully control Patrick. Oh! Yeah, because Plankton did show up in this episode, but he was just being studied. He was being studied by Patrick. Okay.
But after
that
Patrick
makes sense.
He went back to normal, right? He completely stopped Plankton's plan, right? Well, one season later, in the episode Sing a Song of Patrick, Patrick attempts to use his brain again, and
that does make
the
sense.
exact same gears.
Although I know
inside of his
Plankton
head.
felt hurt after that. Your experiment is experimenting on you.
The creators
Like,
went out of their way
I know
to
that hurt his
recreate
pride.
the exact placement of all the gears from the brain coral, which means the head Patrick put on at the end of Patrick's Smarty Pants was not his head. It was another piece of robotic brain coral. But
Of
it seems
course.
like for whatever reason, this brain coral isn't as effective as the first one, and he's only able to have rare moments of genius. Okay, so I know this whole brain coral theory relies on a lot of assumptions, and it could definitely be stronger, but come on, they literally showed us that his brain still has the exact same gears from specifically the brain coral. Like,
Yeah.
what else could this even be implying? I feel like this alone is one of the best pieces of evidence in this video.
Yes, there's been times where we've seen Patrick's brain without gear, but the gears were hidden deep inside of Patrick's brain and wouldn't be visible from the outside of it. True.
In the season 12 episode SpongeBob's Big Birthday Blowout, Patrick has another one of his smart moments.
Oh, would you look at the hour? It's almost time for me to take SpongeBob on that tour so you guys can decorate his house.
Again, why is Bubble Bass suddenly becoming part of the main cast? Like, I've been seeing Bubble Bass a lot.
Responds to him.
I guess even a broken moron can be right once a day.
He calls Patrick a broken moron because he knows
Not
Patrick
just
is
a
broken one
moron,
of his
broken
experiments.
one.
And if you still don't believe me, in the newest episode of season 13, The Goofy Scoopers, we get this scene.
This stinks. I wanted to go backstage for an autograph.
Plankton was here. Yes, he
Dang.
was. And that is the robot invasion theory. Thank you very much.
Dang, SpongeBob. I told you, replace
Bro,
her.
look at his fucking hand.
Wow. Wait a minute. Hold on.
Okay, so before...
Hold on.
Bro, look at...
Okay, first of all, a parking ticket. What kind of fish officer you have to pin the nail on there? But we got SpongeBob and Sandy. Hey yo, why is Sandy's name on there? I don't know.
his fucking hand. Yo.
Okay, so before we move on, I have got to bring up a new SpongeBob episode that recently came out called
Alright.
Welcome to Binary Bottom.
Submitted for your approval. A tribute to Binary Bottom.
This episode shows us a version of Bikini Bottom called Binary Bottom, where everything and everyone has been replaced by
With-
robots.
Okay.
Morning, SpongeBob.
So, obviously, I was like, holy shit, robot invasion theory confirmed!
Yay!
Another W! But it doesn't exactly line up perfectly with my theory. In this episode, Plankton has also been replaced by a robot.
Dang.
Not like a mastermind overlord robot running the show, but a tiny, useless robot who can barely move.
Come back here, you nickel-plated nincompoops!
Dang.
Plank Bob, you forgot to wind yourself again.
Thanks, Karen, my flesh and blood wife.
Also, Karen, the only character who was a robot, is now just a regular fish for some reason. So, yeah, unfortunately, this episode is probably just a non-canon alternate universe.
Yeah.
The robots and living things have switched places. It doesn't seem to have any connection
A
to the
reverse
implied future
AU,
robot
if you think
invasion
about
in my
it.
theory, unfortunately.
Or robotic AU.
Unless I was wrong about Plankton being behind the robot invasion. Okay, hear me out. All of the evidence tying Plankton to the robots also ties back to Karen. She has access to all of Plankton's inventions. So this is a bit of a crazy alternate idea, but what if Karen is the one who's actually been behind the robot invasion all along?
Oh.
Okay, so this one might be a bit of a stretch, but here's how I think you could make it work.
But unfortunately, we're going to have to probably stop it here. I know. I'm sorry. I don't want to make it a part 2. I don't want to make it a part 2 because I don't want to risk my voice to go away again. But there's just so much I can do right now. Wait, how much we can do? You know what? We're booking it.
Either Karen was the one behind the robot invasion, or it was a plan she and Plankton had together, but she eventually turned on him.
Ooh.
Plankton treats his wife Karen terribly throughout this show.
Plankton, you've fallen in love
Yeah,
with another woman?
You cheated. You cheated, Plankton.
Your new screensaver is stupid, and it makes your processor look fat. Karen, I want you to...
Yeah, you replaced her with a...
wife. Karen 2.
Karen.
Exactly.
What if this future where he's a...
That's right. I remember that episode. You really replaced your wife, Plankton. Is this you? You replaced Karen with Karen too, with a bigger rump. And no, that's not me being a pervert. You literally saw it too, and they literally made a joke about that. I'm not gonna lie, Plankton. That's an L from you, man. You don't deserve it for real. Anyways, this episode is part of SpongeBob Twilight Zone parody, the Tidal Zone, which seems to suggest that it was a non-canon Updobbly episode and not an actual future. But Grandpat accidentally time travels here at the end of the episode, imply it is canon to the... What?
Pathetic, useless robot is actually Karen's way of getting revenge on Plankton for the years of mistreatment. A way to sort of switch their roles, so to speak. She even turned herself into a fish, a thing that's possible in this wacky universe, just take my word for it. So
I don't know how. This is just hurting my brain.
Switch their roles, so to speak. She even turned herself into a fish, a thing that's possible.
I don't know why she would change herself to a human, but I mean, like, pop off, queen. Patrick and Karen switch bodies in Camp Coral in the Switch Glitch. This episode was released as part of the same Tidal Zone special as Welcome to Binary Bottom. Maybe they're indicating trying to connect the ideas of those episodes.
In this wacky universe, just take my word for it.
Okay.
So she was the one in control. She's the only one in this whole town with free will. Again, kind of a crazy idea. There's not a ton of evidence.
I mean, let's be honest. I feel like Karen
way to
could
look
do
at
it.
this theory, and it's a bit less obvious.
And
than
Karen
Plankton
might be
being
more
the one
capable
behind
than
it.
Plankton.
That's all I had to say. Let's move on to the wrap-up. Actually, wait, hold on a second. After I finished recording this new section, a new episode of SpongeBob was released called PL 1413. It's sort of a remake of SP129, where Plankton is accidentally sent into the future instead of Squidward.
The future must be pretty great if every...
Unsolved, what's going on with the mirrors of SpongeBob. There's a ton of instances where the character reflection interact with them as if they're their own separate entity. It's just imaginary cartoonies, but here's a lot of strange details with them. Why are they almost so antagonistic? They drove SpongeBob crazy and Squidward crazy in Squid's Day Off. They seem to be actual continuities between Patrick's interactions with his reflections, and they refer to be as an alternate universe or Camp Sahoya. Is this another group trying to secretly take over this Bikini Bottom? If my SpongeBob isn't correct, and there are reasons why everything is reflective chromedom in the future, could they be related? Of course. So even if we don't deal with the robots and Goofy Goobers and literally everything else, we got reflective people. We got mirror people now. That's just fantastic. I love it.
It's made of chrome.
Now, the designs of the characters are different, but it still shows a future where robots have taken over. We don't get to see too much about how this world ended up this way or who's in control, but the
There are
episode
some
ends
known,
with this
yeah.
scene.
See you 2,000 years ago.
can come out now, Plankton 2.0.
I thought he'd never leave.
Dang.
Once again, it seems like Karen has replaced Plankton with a version she can control. He even kind of looks like the ideal version that we saw when SpongeBob went inside of Karen's brain.
Actually,
And
I'm
muscle.
Karen's version of Plankton. You know how she'd like to see me?
So yeah, I
Dang.
don't know how all of these different futures connect, but it does seem like Karen being in charge.
Come
is
on, Plankton
consistent.
is able to do it.
Now we can finally move
His super
on.
form literally had abs.
Actually, wait, no, one more.
Come on, man.
Literally
There's
right
so much
after
video. I don't know how much I can do
another
this.
SpongeBob movie leaked onto Twitter, and this one's all about Plankton. I can't
Well, if you're wondering why this company took so long, it's just because they keep adding new stuff to really talk about.
show any footage from it yet, but it does involve Karen getting sick of Plankton and turning on him and trying to take over the world by herself. It doesn't really like prove my theory.
Hey, man.
But, you know,
It was bound to happen, Plankton. You set yourself up for failure.
We should be done. We should be good to
Please.
move on to the wrap up, unless something else gets leaked. Are we good? Nothing else? Okay, let's go. All right, the robot invasion.
Oh my
theory.
goodness!
I'd probably
If this
put
is
it
gonna reach
somewhere in the
50,
middle,
oh
at, like,
man.
5th place. It's good. It's a pretty good theory. I think there's a lot of evidence that robots are secretly trying to take over, and there's a lot of evidence connecting it back to Plankton or maybe Karen now.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the problem. It's just a lot of evidence. This whole video is mostly just me reading off a list of robot examples and connections. It makes for a strong theory, but there really isn't as much of a compelling narrative to keep you engaged, and I think a good theory video needs to have both.
Okay.
Like, for example, the Mrs. Puff theory isn't just me telling you every time Mrs. Puff acts crazy, it's me telling you the tragic story of this very sympathetic character. You've got a reason to
Right.
keep watching and actually feel something when I reveal a dark plot twist. But this theory,
Plus,
I don't
Plankton
really
just
give
doesn't
you
seem
as much of a
sympathetic.
reason
He
to
keeps
care
doing this to
about
himself.
Plankton's plan or the victims turning into robots, and that's fine for a mini theory, but this was almost 20 minutes long, and you've already watched 6 of these.
And I'm not trying to
I
say
think
this
the new
hard
ideas
move.
about
Okay.
Karen definitely help make him victims turning into
I'm just making
robots,
this is
and
gonna be a
that's
big
fine
video.
for a
Like
mini
it's about to
theory,
reach
but
50.
This was almost 20 minutes long, and you've already watched 6.
I'm trying to say this is the hard rule, but I'm trying to make it feel so I think it just feels like okay.
Of these. I think the new ideas about Karen definitely help make it a little more interesting, and overall, it's still a really fun idea. It just maybe could have been executed a little bit better.
All right.
Okay, those are my thoughts. Time for the real reason you guys are watching this video.
Oh, this one. Jeez. I didn't think we were gonna get this one. I'm pretty sure you're missing out, Patchy the Pirate. I think, unless I skipped it. But look, we'll see. Okay, we'll see. All I'm gonna say is this: we are going to leave it up here because, oh my goodness, if we keep going, it's gonna be the longest video ever made. So I'm going to leave it off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like the video so I know you guys enjoy. Again, I'll see when I'm going to be coming back. I'm not exactly sure when I'll come back, but I really do want to leave something for you guys for this week. But all I'm going to say is this. I'm going to give you guys one big video and maybe a retro video. Because let's just say yesterday got me an idea to watch something. But just stay tuned for that. But anyways, guys, that's going to be the video. And I'm just going to go relax. So I'll catch you guys when I'm recovered.